Snautra aure mazda Hashem vahu vahishtem asti ushtaste Ushtahamai yatashai vahishtai Hashem Baname ahura mazda. To think a good thought, to speak a good word, to do a good deed is righteousness. Happiness comes to those who live with the consciousness of righteousness. And with that sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, this is Meher Amal Saad and welcome to Bahumata, a program designed to build oneness with the consciousness of righteousness in humanity. The goal is not to grow the plant but to plant the seed for each one of us to blossom with our own love, light, grace, joy, and peace. So sit back, relax, and get ready for this very special journey to enlightenment. And as you do, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to our very own Zartushti neuroscientist from United Kingdom, Dr. Karishma Khoka.
Thank you, Baba Meher. Hamazor, Hamashobad, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Bahumata, where we build a global fellowship around the world to share Asho Zarathustra's message. This is a program. Yazdi, are we screen sharing? Thank you. So Bahumata means with good thoughts. So as Zarathustra Sahib's words in the Gathas start us off, let us start today. Yanim mano, yanim vacho, yanim shyotnim, ashauno Zarathustra he. Which means the thoughts, the words, and the good deeds of Asho Zarathustra bring us abundance and prosperity. The principles of this program are to conserve and to share the knowledge, the prayers, the principles, and the practice of the Zarathushti Dhyana. Equally, to honor, give gratitude, and respect our priests and knowledgeable elders who bring this knowledge to us. So thank you. To build a bridge of communication between the elders and the youth so that we bring empowerment with knowledge and leadership for the good of all. And in time, with good thoughts, we will grow this fellowship, build world peace, happiness, and prosperity for all. I give gratitude to my own grandfather, Ervat Sahib Noshirvanji Pestanji Pantaki, and his father, the late Pantaki of Sir J.J. Agyari, Ervat Pestanji Noshirvanji Pantaki, my guiding light, Mobed Meherban Firuzgari, our guiding friend, Mobed Soli P. Dastur, my very kind mentor and the facilitator of this program, Mr. Meher Amal Saad. For support, I thank Mr. Noshir Dadrawala, and for support, technology, and guidance, I thank Mr. Yazdi Tatra. For inspiration, I thank Mr. Rohinton Munshi and express my gratitude to the ZTFE, which gave me this oyster in which to grow, including our presidents, Mr. Malcolm Debu, and our past president, Mr. Rusi Dalal, our Mobed Sahibs Bhada, Madan, Unwala, Writer, Bhedwar, Vajiftar, and other visiting Mobed Sahibs. I thank Mr. Darius Potel and the family of Dr. Firoz and Mrs. Munshi, and gratitude to all Ashavans, everyone's family, including my parents. I will now request Mobed Sahib and Dasturji Sahib, Nasira Badwala, to do a short prayer for us to bless our global Zarathushti fellowship. Dasturji Sahib, over to you. Thank you.
Yatha ahuveryo atharatush asachidhacha vangehush dastamanangam shauthananam angeush mastai shatrim cha ahurai ayem dregobhyau dadat vastare yatha ahuveryo atharatush asachidhacha vangehush dasdamanangau shautananam angeush mastai shatrim cha ahurai ayem dregobhyau dadat vastare Hashem Vahu Vahishtem Asti Ushta Asti Ushta Ahmai Yad Ashai Vahistai Hashem.
Thank you very much, Dasturji Nasirabadwala. Hamazor, Hamashubad. On our next slide, let's look at the thoughts that we had last week on the 28th of March. Bahumata celebrated Khordad Sal and the day of Asho Zarathustra's revelation. And we celebrated this with a thought based on the Yatha Ahuveryo prayer of sharing. Like seeds are nurtured on clean soil, good thoughts are nurtured in a good, clean mind. And we are very grateful to all our speakers who gave us the chance to rejoice with gratitude and with all of us around the world. Today, in the next slide, you will see that we are coming together to take this a step further, to celebrate an International Day of Collective Consciousness of the Good Mind on the 1st of January every year for world peace, harmony, progress, prosperity for the good of all. In the Gathas, in the 48.5, which is the Spentomad Gatha, Asho Zarathustra has guided us. It starts with Hushastra Kshnetem Vanguyao Chistayao Shnotnaish Armaiti and goes on to say Yazdao Masyai Aipi Zatem Vahishta. In this, the word Chistoish relates to the wisdom, but wisdom not the same as Kratum, as Ervad Ramyar Sahib has explained to me. It is the wisdom of thinking and reflecting upon, introspecting upon the religious knowledge we have. Different from Kratum, which is in 28.10, which is wisdom that comes from innate wisdom and wisdom from the world. And this wisdom guides good action. And Zartor Sahib lays this out like a step ladder for us, linking it to vegetation, cattle, humans, progress, strength, and prosperity for all. Today, we are going to focus on the 48.12. But before that, let us understand why this is so important. When we have good, clean soil, Mother Earth gives us this benevolent bounty. Clean food grown on good earth brings us nourishment without chemicals, pesticides, toxins. This allows good neuroendocrine immune system, a good physiology from which the brain can develop, wisdom can develop. We can get good thoughts, well-being for growth and progress. Today, we need a good neuroendocrine immune system. Equally, we need good education that can come from this, entrepreneurship, good economy for all, and shared abundance.
Clean mind.
And a clean mind with which we can grow together. In our next slide, I will invite our speakers for the day to explain how we may build such goodness and share with others. Based on the Spentomad Gatha 48.12 and related prayers in the Bahumat pattern of Humata, concepts from the prayers, hook the lines, words, and meanings from the prayers, and then the speaker's own interpretation and application for good action, Varshta. Our five speakers for the day are Ervad Homyar Gustadji Nasirabadwala, whom I'll introduce first, and then the other speakers. So Homyar Nasirabadwala Sahib is a person of very, very great diligence and good action. He serves as the resident Dasturji for a close-knit Zartoshti community in Hong Kong that has valiantly been preserving our traditions and customs with utmost pride and dedication. As the head priest of the Hong Kong Dare Meher, Ervad Homyar Gustadji Nasirabadwala keeps the fire burning at the fire temple, carrying out naujots, ceremonial rites of initiation into the faith, wedding ceremonies, and other priestly duties with steady regularity for the Hong Kong Zartoshti community. Born in Allahabad to a priestly family, he was ordained as a Nawar Martab at the age of 12. His father, Ervad Gustadji Piroj Shah Nasirabadwala, led by example, and together with his mother Jalu, ensured that he and his other two siblings received a proper education. Under the able guidance of his father, who served as a mabad at the Karseji Manekji Shroff Agyari in Jamshedpur for 3 decades, he was trained in the nuances of the religion. He completed his schooling from Loyola High School, Jamshedpur, and moved to Mumbai for further education and graduated from the Mumbai University. His religious fervor was so strong that not a single day passed without visiting an Agyari, a fire temple. Being in the company of stalwarts like Ervad Aspandiyar Dada Chanji and others influenced him tremendously to follow his true calling of becoming a full-time mabad. He worked in the corporate sector in Mumbai and also doubled up as a part-time priest. He did extremely well in the field of his expertise, which was computer operations at BASF, and later on at the Shapunji, Palanji and Co. However, his heart was always drawn towards serving the community. So he heeded his true calling and, taking the advice of Ervad Aspandiyar Dada Chanji, decided to serve at the Bhai Dhanmai Kavasji Dadabhai Agyari in Bangalore. He was convinced that this was his true purpose in life. And when the opportunity rose to work overseas, he accepted it and now serves the Zartushti community in Hong Kong. As a full-time priest, it gives him great satisfaction to guide, instruct, and help his fellow community members, young and old alike. He conducts prayer classes and until last year, also held religious discourses for university students in Hong Kong. Sadly, due to the pandemic, this has been put on hold temporarily. His family, consisting of his wife and 1 daughter, live in Mumbai in India. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to our dedicated, committed, and respected Dasturji Sahib from Hong Kong, Ervad Homyar Gustadji Nasirabadwala. Thank you, Dasturji.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Now request Dasturji Sahib to give us his presentation and thank Meher Amal Saji for writing all the biographies. Over to you, Dasturji Sahib.
Thank you, dear Meher and Karishma, for organizing this program and inviting me to participate. Let me begin with the benediction to our Lord Ahura Mazda. Azangaram Beshezanam, Vaivare Beshezanam, Azangaram Beshezanam, Vaivare Beshezanam, Azangaram Beshezanam, Vaivare Beshezanam, Ashem Vahu Vahishtem Asti Ushta Asti Ushta Ahmai Yad Ashai Vahistai Ashem. My understanding of this prayer is, may Ahura Mazda grant the true worshipper health of body, mind and soul, 1,000-fold, nay, 10,000-fold. Today's topic is from Bhumata to Huvarshta, to protect and heal the earth. This is a wide topic and covers a huge spectrum of thought, but I will try and stick to the heal the earth part, which is most topical of today's theme. The Spentomad Gatha says, Attoi engem soshanto dakyunam yoikshnum vaho maninga hauchante shautnaish asha tvyamasda sengya toiji data hamestaro aishemya. The prayer from the Spentumad Gatha, which I just recited, says, the Lord Zarathustra talks of those men who are the future benefactors of the human race of all countries, who pursue the path of divine wisdom through their deeds, acts of kindness, in keeping with the divine law, that is Asha. And goes on to say, O Mazda, admonitions are destined to be on those opponents of wrath, hatred, and discord, Hamestaro Aishemya. It speaks of the grant of happiness, pure mind, and immortality from Ahura through Spenta Menyo to anyone who works righteously in this world with good thoughts, words, and deeds. Although the Gathas were recited thousands of years ago, they are still relevant in today's age and time. Such is the beauty of the Gathas. As far as relevance to healing the earth goes, the Spentomad Gatha refers to the human race of all countries, Saushanto Dakyunam, through acts of kindness, which is still relevant today. So how does the process of healing begin? It begins by us activating our empathy and the use of humility, grace, and compassion. That way, we can have a huge impact on our world, that is the immediate world around us. We must practice kindness, compassion, and empathy for ourselves first, then others. We must love ourselves so that we may love others. We have the capacity to change ourselves and therefore the world. By that, I do not mean that by meditation you can stop a war from happening. But if instead of feeling hopeless, helpless, and allowing yourself to become angry with what you see happening around the world, you can choose to be the change you want to see. It is absolutely normal to feel horrible and upset when you see images of hurt, brutality, or injustice in the world. But allowing yourself to overcome with anger only serves to fuel the negativity that already exists. In order to balance out the sadness, we need to find grace. If we can step into compassion and humility, first and foremost, extend that into our personal lives, then to the world. Small steps lead to great strides. For example, make a small start by helping at a nearby school which has underprivileged children. Maybe by offering to teach them or feed them. In order to balance out the sadness, we need to find grace. If we can step into compassion and humility, then extend that into our personal lives. We can make a real difference. I have heard in Pune, there is a project started by a young Parsi girl by the name of Rukshin Wazifda called the Food Project. She feeds the poor and hungry, not just around the home area, but also reaches out to nearby villages. She made a small start one day by feeding a poor child, And from that grew this entire project, which I believe now has sponsors, and she can reach out to so many more poor families. Another one is that of Pearl Tirandas, who started the Good Deed Project. She helps humans as well as strays. She encourages one and all to join in this wonderful project. I am sure there are numerous such examples around us. The Spentoman Gatha speaks of this too. It says, happiness will come to those who work righteously in this world with good thoughts, words, and deeds, which are the very tenets of our religion. Acts of compassion, humility, and kindness are the very essence of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Remember, at the end of your journey, Ahura Mazda will not judge you by how many degrees or diplomas you had in life. He will ask you, how many lives have you touched with your goodness? How many have you fed? How many have you helped? Doctors can cure physical diseases, but how many can cure despair or loneliness or poverty? There are many dying for a want of piece of bread, but many more are dying for a little love, compassion, and empathy. Another example I can think of is of Mother Teresa. She said, and I quote, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." What can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family. That is what I meant when I said, start with small steps. Start with yourself. Ask yourself first thing in the morning when you wake up, how can I be a better person today? Consciously try and be better than what you have been yesterday. Then move on to helping family members. Our older generation needs love and compassion from the younger ones. We can then move on to our neighbors, our friends, our community. The circle widens. If each of us find a way to help in our immediate surroundings first, then slowly extend to a wider area, then we in our small way are healing the world. The pandemic has taught us to respect Mother Nature, to take care of our surroundings, and to leave this world a better place for the next generation and those beyond. To conclude, I would like to quote from the teachings of Zarathustra, Ustaveti Gatha, Yasnaha 43.1. Happiness is the lot of him who works for the happiness of others. Zarathustra gave out the golden rule that happiness comes to him who gives happiness to others. Life is incomplete when man lives for his own self. Life is best lived when it is lived for others. Thank you very much, and a big God bless. Atha Jamia Yatha Afrinami.
From everybody, thank you very much, Dasturji Sahib. Thank you. As Mummy says, excellently spoken.
Thank you.
And I think she echoes the thoughts of everybody.
I seek her blessings. Thank you very much.
We will come back and think about what Dasturji Sahib has said to us, reflect upon it. He mentioned the concept of contemplation, the concept of Tushnamaitish, which comes into the 48.15 in the Gathas. Now, our next speaker, the wisdom of Dasturji and the promise and the future wisdom of Ervad Mahyar Kerawala. Ervad Mahyar Kerawala is now from Australia. He's a multifaceted Zartoshti leader who truly cares about the welfare of our future generation and has been involved in laudable initiatives for the Australian Zoroastrian community. Ervad Mahyar Kerawala was born and raised in Mumbai, in India, and currently resides in Perth in Western Australia. He served on the organizing team of the 2018 11th World Zoroastrian Congress in Perth, Western Australia, with the sole purpose of bringing our global Zartushti community together towards tomorrow. He has also played a significant role in framing the constitution for the formation of the Federation of Zoroastrian Associations of Oceania, FEZAO. This federation is the culmination of all Zoroastrian associations in Australia and in the New Zealand that serves the cultural, social, business, and charitable needs of their members. It was formed for the purposes of better information, sharing, improved cooperation between the member organizations, and to be the voice in Zoroastrian matters in the Oceania region and in the world. Mahyar Sahib has a bachelor's in commerce and a diploma in the human resource management. He has worked for about 10 years in the media industry as well as shipbuilding, ship designing, and other such activities in India. Currently, he's employed by the National Australia Bank and a part of the secured lending team. He is ordained as a Navar and a Martab and was practicing Mabadi in India. In Australia, he partakes in the occasional Jashan for the community in Western Australia and was the first and only priest to do a Jashan in Kalgoorlie, a mining town in Western Australia.
Wow.
Mahyar Sahib is also the current vice president of the Business Association of Western Australia Zoroastrians, popularly known as BAVAs. He is also instrumental in organizing various communal events like picnics, seminars, and other social gatherings for BAVAs, and is proud to be a Zartushti. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to our outstanding featured speaker for this afternoon, or evening or night, from Australia, Ervad Sahib Mahyar Kerawala. Over to you, Mahyar Sahib.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am a bit nervous. I'm sure you can understand. I have been flattered, so am I really worth it? I do not know. A big thank you to Mayor Amal Saad and Karishma for giving me this opportunity to speak with all of you, share my thoughts, share my views. Today's topic is 48.12 Svenkamat Gatha. I'll need to put on my glasses, thank you. I'll start with the actual 48.12 prayer. Attoyagem Shnotea Dakinam Yoshnuman Wahu Mananga Hochante Shotnai Shasha Kwa Mazda Shengahaya Toizi Data Hamistaro Ashe Mahia. The prophets and the renovators of the world had to follow the call of duty by good thoughts. They were the smiters of wrath and passion. The future benefactors of the human race will be those who will shun hatred and discord and follow the pursuit of wisdom through development of divine intelligence. The word shnum has been used in Yasna 46.1, where the word implies satisfaction. When translated, it is fulfilling one's duty. The word has much the same meaning as the Sufi word marafat, which is knowledge of self and spiritual insight. This is the same meaning in later Zarathustrian mystical writings in the school of Ilme Kushnum. It is believed that in the context of this verse, it is satisfaction based on the root word shnu, to satisfy. Duty performed well always satisfies the soul. It is translated as divine wisdom from the old root shnu, to know. It alludes to higher spiritual teaching and wisdom connected with Vahumano, which is the lord of Saturn. It is translated as divine knowledge, which gives happiness. Ameshtaro is derived from the root word made with ham, meaning to overcome. The word occurs in Sarosh Hadokyas 11.15, where Sarosha is called Amesha Hamishtaram, meaning the vanquisher of hatred. There is no direct Sanskrit equivalent. It is believed that the word is formed on the same lines as Rathista. The word Hama means battle contest and the root star to stand. In Rig Veda, the word Samad, battle Samna, is battlefield, and Samara is equal to contest. So it translates as one who stands up in battle or vanquisher. It is translated as successful contesters. The Sanskrit cognate from the root word same, to cope with, to contest, plus tha means standing, which is translated as fellow workers who resist together. A holy person always acts with righteousness, non-violence, and lack of malice in accordance with the laws of Ahura Mazda. They were able to withstand against the cupid and temptations of the flesh. In Hindu scriptures, it is also said that it is very difficult to overcome Kama or Cupid, which is the cause of wars, strife, and acute suffering. It is to be mastered and kept in control and used for procreation to carry on the world of Mazda. This verse is an affirmation in the end of forces of deceit shall occur through the efforts of those men who are akin to the spirit of the wise one himself, in that they follow his teachings concerning truth, good thinking by actions, motivated by those principles. The direct mention of the end of fury links the conclusion of this her with its beginning, which posed the unanswered questions of whether truth shall ever defeat deceit and its proponents. This verse also shows that knowledge can only be that of the true doctrine. Zarathustra is saying here that it is not enough to know the correct teachings, but one must also bring it to realization. This verse defines the role of the savior, Soshant, and the relationship between his function and that of Ahura Mazda's teachings. This is the direct meaning of this her. Now, to translate it in what I understand is Spentomad or Spentamenu means divine enhancement of the soul. The Gathas speak of the ultimate triumph of good spirit, Spentamenu, and the hiding underground of the evil one, Angremenu. Our prophet Zarathustra Sahib categorically declares in the Gathas, Yasna 30.10, then indeed shall the support of falsehood comes down, and broken shall be its power, that evil shall ultimately perish. What ultimately beats the evil that tries to reside in us is to keep the mind better and holier, through good thoughts, humata, that transpire into good action, varasta, and the kindness of the said word, bhukta. There are Soshants or saviors of the land who will surely adhere to the knowledge of the religion through their good mind, good deeds, and righteousness, in accord with thy command, O Ahura Mazda. Because they, the Soshants or the saviors, are appointed as strong opponents of hatred. Definition of Soshant means one of the three deliverers of the Zoroastrian extology, appearing at 1,000-year intervals, and each inaugurating a new order of things and a special period of human progress. However, I feel a Soshant lies within us. We need not wait for a deliverer, rather emulate what a prophet guides us with. That is, good thoughts, good words, and good deeds that come from a pure and peaceful mind, a clear oration of words which can cause no harm to humanity, and deeds that benefit planet Earth that houses and feeds us. Our aim was, is, and shall always be the betterment of planet Earth and its inhabitants. The easiest and the surest way of achieving this is following the path of righteousness. May falsehood be destroyed and goodness triumph. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ervad Saib. Very beautifully explained and given us so much to think about. We'll let you rest for a little while and then we'll all question you after a little while. Our third speaker for the day is somebody who has worked for a very long time to build a global fellowship. She's our special fellowship ambassador speaker for the day. Her name is Afreed Mistry. Most of us here around the world would already know of her, but I'll still attempt a short introduction. She has been instrumental in providing multifaceted services to our North American and global Zartoshti community. Presently, Afreed is serving as the main representative for Fezana at the United Nations from Toronto, Canada, and is also co-chair of the Fezana UN NGO Committee, along with Dr. Behram Pastakia. Afreed Mistry brings years of valuable experience to the position, having attended numerous sessions since 2004 at the United Nations headquarters in New York, and has mentored numerous Zartoshti youth on their journey to become world citizens. Afreed has been diligently volunteering for the Zoroastrian community since her parents first took her to the Toronto Dare Meher at the age of 13. She's been a board member of her local association in Toronto and has been teaching religion classes for the past 22 years. Afreed has been actively involved with the World Zartoshti Chamber of Commerce, the WZCC, since its very inception in 2001, and also with Fezana since 2002. She served as the president of the WZCC Toronto chapter and has been the co-chair of ZINA, the Zoroastrian Youth of North America. She has also co-chaired the 10th North American Zoroastrian Youth Congress in Toronto in 2003, the 11th North American Zoroastrian Youth Congress in Miami in 2005. Afreed has attended 12 Zoroastrian congresses all over the world and has been a speaker at 6 of them. Most recently, Afreed was one of 3 Masters of Ceremony at the 2018 11th World Zoroastrian Congress in Perth in Australia. Now, professionally, Afreed is a network design specialist at the Bank of Montreal. Her professional experience comes from working in a very fast-paced environment with cutting-edge technology. And for the past 23 years, she's been working in the IT department of large corporations as a technical specialist. Her specialty is in voice and data, network infrastructure, and applications. Afreed has had the opportunity to lead a team of individuals and make 7 presentations at the United Nations headquarters in New York at the Commission of the Status of Women. I was fortunate to attend it, beautifully coordinated. She had the opportunity to present a workshop on negotiation skills at the International Avia User Group Conference in Dallas, Texas in 2014, and a lecture on how artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and smart contracts are changing the world, which was in Orlando, Florida in 2019, in May. Along with Dr. Behram Pastakia, Afreed co-chairs the Fezana United Nations NGO Committee, and they have initiated the Fezana Ava project with a mission and a vision to bring together a group of people from across the world to form a working group that exchanges ideas pertaining to protecting the environment. 140 volunteers across more than 8 countries have signed up for this project, which will continue for 10 years until 2030, which is when the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are also due. Wonderful. With that amazing sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartoshti welcome to this dynamic, enthusiastic, and very committed lady who's making a difference, who has been making a difference with the vision of Zarathustra, taking it to the world, building a fellowship. Our very own Afreed Mistry from Toronto in Canada. Over to you, Afreed.
Thank you, Karishma. That was a very lovely intro. And I just want to thank Mayor Amalsad and yourself for giving me this opportunity to speak today about the ABBA project. Thank you. Homi Dhalla at the 8th World Zoroastrian Congress in London in 2005 quoted this from Yasna 12.7. Oh, what faith are the waters, of what faith the trees, of what faith bounteous Mother Earth, of what faith Aura Mazda, of what faith was Zarathustra, of what faith and law as well, a Mazda worshipper am I. Relating to that quote, our objective is for Zoroastrians all over the world to contribute towards taking care of the environment. We are creating a learning community here where each of us can learn from each other. Our ancient Iranian Zarathustri culture is to take care of all creations, and we intend to execute these dreams by promoting the concept of glocalization, which is to think globally but act locally. This project, as Karishma said, will continue for 10 years until 2030 when the UN SDGs are also due. And we'd like to execute the AVA project ideas on June 5th of this year, which is World Environment Day. The launch of the decade from 2021 to 2030 by the UNEP to care for the creations and environment is starting on June 5th, 2021. And we want to encourage all those of you that are listening today to prepare for actions that you could take as individuals on June 5th of this year. And as Karishma said, we now have over 185 volunteers from over 10 countries signed up for the AVA project. And the volunteers include a diverse group of our global diaspora. And they include engineers, priests, authors, entrepreneurs, doctors, scientists, school teachers, undergraduate and graduate students, journalists, editors, mothers, grandmothers, botanists, artists, musicians, and they all range from ages 12 all the way to 80, each of them bringing their own unique talents and thinking to the table. And I'm happy to say that we have kids participating from Michigan, Texas, and California. Here are some of the ideas that we are working on in much smaller groups. Volunteers are gathering in smaller groups to do local water cleanups. We are working on partnering with like-minded companies so that our volunteers will get a chance to make a difference. We're putting together a package on water, its importance, and conserving water. This package will be released by Fizana on June 5th on their website to download by all globally. And we're hoping that the religion class teachers everywhere will use this in their classes to teach the kids. This group that we formed, Educating the Children group, is run by a 15-year-old youth from Houston, Texas. We also aim to educate the community through various formats like educational workshops, videos, pamphlets, quarterly articles, and providing tools to communities to host educational game shows like Jeopardy and Family Feud. We're also looking into how we can bring clean water to areas that do not have it. We're looking to get alternate and better solutions than building wells, because building wells takes a lot of effort and costs time and money. Neklin Pitawala, who is a botanist from India, during our first meeting brought up the fact that planting the right trees can raise the level of the water. So after looking into various examples where this has worked, We have also formed a water and trees group as part of our project. The Water and Trees group of our project has been able to get Aisha Gadyali to get Rashna Pardiwala's film on the United Nations Forum on International Day of Forest Celebration. This film was watched live on UN Web TV, and I will put the link to the film in the chat window once I'm done my presentation so you all can take a look at the film. If you would like to make a difference and you'd like to join us for our AVA project, our next meeting is taking place on Friday, April 23rd. Also, Parinas Dastur, a 12-year-old from Fremont, California, will be teaching an art class on June 5th, and we will do a scenery of trees and water. And while we're doing that, we're going to have youth from our AVA project teach the audience members about trees and water. If you would like to make a difference, or you have an idea relating to the UN SDGs, or you just want to join our AVA project, you're welcome to connect with us. I will put the link and our email addresses in the chat window when I'm finished, so you can definitely participate if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Afreed, and thank you for building this global community. Our next speaker is a very special young person, Shireen Mehri. This amazing young Zartoshti peace agent from Pakistan, whom I'm about to introduce, was chosen to be the finalist number 19 for the Pakistan's biggest peace-focused fellowship titled Salamati Fellowship Program Cohort 4 from the Shower Foundation for Education and Awareness. As an avid supporter of Pakistan Peace Without Borders, she has dedicated her life towards promoting entrepreneurial leadership by mentoring the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship and for the Coaching for Leadership and Teamwork program during her time in Boston. She has served as a program manager for the ethics and governance at the Pakistan Business Council. With a background in economics and finance, Shireen Mehri's passion for an equitable education and social landscape continues to be evident in her professional and in her volunteer work. After successfully completing projects in education in Tanzania, Azerbaijan, and the United States of America, Shireen is leading projects on family-friendly workspaces and Pakistan's investment landscape in partnership with IFC, the International Financial Corporation, at the Pakistan Business Council. Prior to relocating in Pakistan, Shireen worked alongside the founders of growing social impact startups focused on community developments in the United Arab Emirates. So in various parts of the world, she's had her impact. Starting as a team lead mentor for Greenbox's first Impact Fellowship, and now serving as an advisor to the Karachi chapter, Shireen continues to work with youth to equip them as an advisor to the Karachi chapter, to equip them with the right skills needed for solutions to challenges in the 21st century. Shireen holds a master's degree in management and entrepreneurial leadership from Babson College and an undergraduate degree in economics and finance from SUNY, the State University of New York in Plattsburgh, United States. She is also a member of IUCN, the International Union of Conservation of Nature Commission on Environmental, Economic, and Social Policy. All three work together. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartoshti welcome to this very special lady with a heart of gold who is committed to making a difference in the lives of humanity. with the blessings of global peace. Our very own sweet youth from Pakistan, Shireen Mehri. Welcome, Shireen, and over to you.
Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Karishma, and thank you, Meher, for having me here with you all today. I'm truly humbled to join all the speakers who went before me, and only hope that what I'm about to share will add some value to everyone listening from all over the world today. The session, or the topic for today's conversation is a timely one. We are at a unique crossroads globally. We have spent the last year protecting ourselves from an invisible virus, while also simultaneously taking steps towards our healing and recovery. And so for my presentation, I would want to break down what healing means in Zoroastrianism and personally for me. So the focus of the Zoroastrian religion is on Ushta. Ushta refers to the beams of early light, sunrise, purity, new splendors, and a renewed life. And so Ushta being a state where body, mind, and spirit are in a state of wellness and serenity, are mighty. This state of spiritual, mental, and physical wellness enables a person to lead an active, meaningful, and fulfilling life, aware and able to act on their own agency, and thus realize their higher calling and potential. It therefore behoves a person to actively build and maintain wellness. A lack of wellness can interrupt this quest or state of being. Zoroastrians through the ages have developed multiple approaches to healing and restoration. In Zoroastrianism, being has spiritual, the menu, and material and physical, the Getha aspects. Therefore, in order for wellness or healing to be complete and effective, both aspects need to be addressed. Healing from a Zoroastrian perspective goes beyond seeking physical cure for a specific symptom. A cure, the application of an external aid or intervention, assists healing to occur from within. If illness occurs, the human body naturally seeks restoration to health through healing. If a lack of mental wellness occurs, a person needs to dig deeper and marshal their spiritual faculties in order to heal. Thus, spiritual wellness and healing involves various aspects. The wellness and healing of the spirit, increasing an individual's spiritual strength, the spiritual power of the mantra, the ancient prayer, as well as invoking external spiritual powers, be they the guardian angels, pravashis, divine entities or angels, yazatas, or what some may refer to as the power of the universe. So why is it important to acknowledge the past year for what it has been? A first of its kind experience for majority of us, but not the last of such a mass traumatic event. As active delegates of Ahura Mazda in this world, we will continue to face such challenges time and time again, perhaps different in impact and scale to the kind of challenges our ancestors experienced. Our body may keep the score, but its incredible ability to heal makes it the most interesting framework behind the human condition. As is attributed to Helen Keller, saying, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. And so in my talk today, I would invite everyone here to think about what healing looks like for you. And how can we embark on a journey to heal individually and collectively? Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen, for sharing your thoughts with us. Get ready now for all the questions that are going to come to you from around the world. Okay, in a little.
Karishma, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. That was helpful. With immense joy, I would now like to introduce this amazing visionary leader who has dedicated the last 12 years and more towards serving our North American and global Zartushti community with incredible gusto and enthusiasm, including his valuable technical guidance for this Bahumata program. Thank you, Arzan, to support and inspire our future generation. Arzan grew up in India and still considers it his home. Arzan Sam Wadia is the current president of Fezana, the Federation of Zoroastrian Associations of North America, and the co-chair of the 2022 12th World Zoroastrian Congress in New York. He holds the record of being the youngest president of Fezana to date. Arzan was the recipient of the 2017 Outstanding Global Zartushti Professional Award. He has been extensively involved in the Zoroastrian Return to Roots program since its inception and is its current program director. Arzan has been featured speaker at various North American and World Zoroastrian Congresses and has served with utmost dedication on the board of Zoroastrian Association of Greater New York for 4 terms. Arzan is also the founder of Parsi Khabar, which is at www.parsikhabar.net, the world's oldest and largest internet news aggregator website about Parsis and Zoroastrians worldwide. This website, dissemination news, opinions, and analysis of culture, society, religion, and trends within our Zartushti community worldwide, serves the community. Arzan also served as the program chair for the 2019 7th World Zoroastrian Youth Congress in Los Angeles, as well as on the core committee of the 2012 12th North American Zoroastrian Congress in New York. In 2018, Arzan was featured in Fezana Journal's special issue on empowering the next generation as one of the 40 inspiring young Zoroastrians. He was also instrumental in empowering our global Zoroastrian youth as one of the 20 participants at the inaugural World Zoroastrian Youth Leadership Forum in 2018 at the Usher Center in the United Kingdom. Arzan has designed, maintained, and managed over 40 websites for designing and commercial clients, including the websites of Fezana, the North American Mobbeds Council, the Zoroastrian Association of Greater New York, the Zoroastrian Association of Metropolitan Washington, Incorporated, the Zoroastrian Returns to Root Program, and the 7WZYC 2019, which is the World Youth Congress. He is also the webmaster of the Iran Shah Initiative project that is dedicated to showcase the bounty of our sacred Park Iran Shah. Arzan is an architect, an urban designer based in New York City. Having worked in Graz, Austria, and in New York, he has been part of a design team for projects in Austria, Switzerland, Cambodia, as well as the United States of America. With a master's in urban design and architecture from the Pratt Institute and entrepreneurial spirit, Arzan currently practices as an architect and runs a technology business. He has earned numerous professional awards in this field of endeavor and has built a reputation of being a team player with other global Zartushti leaders, youth, everyone. With this exuberant sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to this passionate leader with a compassionate heart who epitomizes the radiance and vibrance of a true Zartushti. Our very own global Zartushti, Arzan Sam Wadia from the United States of America. Thank you, Meher Amsaji, for that lovely introduction.
Thank you, Karishma and Meher, and thank you to all of you over here on this Zoom call. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you're in your time zones. We all have a lot of pressure on our time and a lot of choices to make. And I'm thankful that you made the choice to join this call and give of your valuable time to hear all of us speak. While today's topic revolves around the protection and the healing of the earth, I would like to dwell on this both in a non-religious manner, but both in a literal and a figurative sense. So and I'll break up my talk into presentation into two parts. Each will end with a video. The first one in a literal sense. As Karishma mentioned, I'm an architect and an urban designer by profession. From an early age, I accompanied my dad to his construction sites, and the logical gravitation to study architecture came from there. In my 5 years of study in Bombay and in Austria, I realized that the education I had wasn't enough and I needed to know more. The fascination to come to New York was around the fact that New York City is arguably the greatest architectural laboratory if you look at the time frame of a century or more. While skyscrapers were born in Chicago, it is in New York that they became iconic. While parks existed outside big cities, it is Central Park in New York that became the largest example of a forest and an ecosystem within an urban confine. And hence, when I got to New York, it was a continuum of these disparate architectural trends that kept me focused and fascinated. I got a lucky break to join what was then a very small architectural firm, Cook Fox Architects. And one of my earliest projects was a 2.1 million square foot skyscraper in the heart of Times Square. Now, what's so special about that, one would say? Well, it is a skyscraper like no other. This was the world's first and largest LEED Platinum rated skyscraper. LEED is an energy rating system which rates buildings on their overall energy performance. In 2003, when we started working on the project, and in 2010, when we finished, LEED was not the buzzword, and being green or sustainable was not the norm. It was a struggle to make it all happen. However, in doing the work we did, our guiding principle was a term that when I heard about it for the first time, I thought to myself, that has to be from Zoroastrian scriptures. The term I'm referring to is biophilia. So what is biophilia? Biophilia is the idea that there is an innate bond between people and nature, and the built environment should connect with the natural world. And therefore, biophilic design is a design strategy that supports our innate human connections to nature to support our own health and well-being. Simply saying, people feel better when they're connected to nature. What does biophilia do? Biophilic design can reduce stress, enhance creativity and clarity of thought, and improve our well-being and expedite healing. Why does that happen? Our bodies react to biophilia around us, and these spaces reduce stress, help enhance creativity, and help us think clearer. So we as architects, as we go around helping propagate this, as the world urbanizes, these qualities are becoming even more important. We see this in all our lives. We all live in big, dense environments. However, when we go to a park in the morning for a walk or a jog, it transforms us. Here's an example. Try it out for yourself. Next time you're stuck in traffic, right, on an expressway, on a highway, in the city, on your way to work, and when you start moving and pass a large patch of green, be it a park, be it just natural greenery, see if it does anything to your senses. Consciously observe if it changes your mood and feelings, even if it is momentarily. And you will see that it actually does. And why is that? It is because we humans are programmed to react positively with nature. And so as architects, how do we make this happen? As a design practice at Cook Fox, we have developed what we call as the fifth facade. Every building has 4 facades. And what is the fifth facade? New York's most iconic buildings, the earlier 20th century high-rises like the Rockefeller Center, for example, were designed as aspirational symbols of urban life, defined by power, wealth, and capitalism, yet also carefully sculptured forms that mediate between the great height of the structure and life at the street level. These stepped skyscrapers created a fifth facade of roofs, terraces, and balconies that took advantage of daylight, natural ventilation, and preserved views. In New York City, designers are today introducing building forms that can be seen as contemporary interpretations of the materiality and language of these early high-rises, and rediscovering iconic sculpted forms to integrate nature and natural processes into the built environment. Inspired by biophilic design, the fifth facade is now being reimagined as green productive space that integrates nature into the urban environment, mitigates the effects of climate change, and enhances the health and well-being of the city around. Thus, in a small way, I feel that my professional work is lending towards healing of the earth in a literal way. While I'm no expert in the religion or the scriptures, I know enough to know that biophilic principles, as the world calls them today, are a rediscovery of what our ancient faith teaches us through the way we practice our faith, taking care of the elements and nature being important parts of everyday life is not tokenism, but is an integral piece of the jigsaw of all our lives. A picture says 1,000 words and a video says 10,000 words. So I would like to share this 3-minute picture of what the fifth facade or what an urban terrace or an urban garden is and how that is relevant to what we are trying to talk today.
In the studio, we reference biophilic design all the time. It's one of the tools that we use. As a child, I grew up in Tokyo, and so this concept of what in English we call forest bathing, the literal translation from the Japanese term shinrin-yoku, is the psychological relationship of a human moving through nature, the effect that nature can have on the human as they're experiencing it. What's very interesting to me is to be able to design our home, our new Cook Fox office in New York. It's a very similar feeling, this dense urban environment, constant stimulation, constant noise, there's a lot going on. But to be able to come up to the 17th floor, walk out onto the West Terrace, and actually dig my hands into the dirt. We all planted these plants together. We've seen them change throughout the seasons. As soon as you enter our studio, you walk through a gallery space that we've set up as a moment of serenity, a moment of contemplation before entering the Cook Fox world. You can wander through our studio either east or west and discover this natural environment that is seemingly out of place on a setback at the 17th level in Manhattan. It's an experience that's incredibly uncommon in the city.
You know, from the beginning, we were all pretty obsessed about how do we express this idea of biophilic design. And in particular, I think what we came back to over and over again was the concept of prospect and refuge. Where do you feel safe, but you can still prospect out over the world, the city, or out over the studio? There are moments outside in the gardens also that I see people like behind a tree, a river birch tree, reading a book and looking out over the city, watching the sense of enclosure that our gardens have for people outdoors too. So it's been pretty uniquely satisfying thinking about that concept of design, which we do every day for our clients, and having done it for our studio and watching people here in real time enjoying those things that were crafted specifically for that purpose.
Part of the way that we designed this studio, because people are spending 90% of their time indoors, is that we designed it in a slightly more comfortable way than a traditional office would be designed. It's a workplace. It's somewhere where collaboration is happening. There are details in our space that are a little bit more domestic scale, a little bit more residential scale, to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to design this living lab, this living example.
Okay, so this basically you got a glimpse of what sorry, you got a glimpse of what a fifth facade is, and this is today becoming more and more the norm. And this is in a way we are bringing Earth back closer to us in dense urban cities wherever we live. And honestly, from experience, sitting out on the terrace and working off of a laptop is a blessing I count every day. So that was the literal part of Earth and the healing the Earth, and now the figurative part. And here I would like to expand on the term healing to include enlightening and sharing of oneself. The Earth is what grounds us, and in some syncretic way, the Earth becomes land, and the term motherland brings about the sense of anchoring. We are all an immigrant community. Whether the motherland is Iran or India or Pakistan, we are all tied in some ways to the geographical earth from there. However, as more and more Zarthustris are born in the new lands versus the motherlands, this relationship changes. As Roshan Ravetna's seminal demographic study of 2012 shows, the growth in the West is countered by the decline of numbers in India, Pakistan, and Iran. So what does it mean for a young Zarthustri that is born in USA, Canada, UK, Australia, or New Zealand? How are they anchored to the metaphorical earth from the motherland? It is questions like this that led to the formation of the Zoroastrian Return to Roots program in 2013. I would not exaggerate if I said that this is one of the most meaningful and impactful community projects that I have been fortunate to be involved with. By organizing 14-day trips to India, we create these birthright experiences where young Zarthustris from around the world get to visit India and see the Zoroastrian and Parsi Irani side of culture, religion, and life. These programs are transformative to everyone who attends, and every single person over the last 6 trips has gone away with a renewed sense of belonging. Many of them go back with an immense and renewed sense of identity, purpose, and passion about their faith and community. And we then empower them to take leadership positions both at local and national communities, at least here in North America. An unintended consequence of this program was that we have all of the Zoroastrian associations all over the world fully and actively invested and supporting this both financially and with facilitating access as necessary. Again, another video that will say 10,000 words. This video was put together by Tanya Hoshi, who is a Return to Roots alumni and coordinator and has come on multiple trips, giving of her time and skills to help run the program. I think Tanya is also on this call. And so if somebody wants to reach out with comments on the video later, they can do that later. So here's the video.
Growing up, nothing made me more proud than being Zoroastrian. It was at the core of my identity. But over time, as I grew older, I found myself asking, what does it mean to be Zoroastrian? This question ran through my mind constantly, but I didn't know how to answer it. I felt lost. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my own identity. So I took a chance at a life-changing trip that would help others like me to heal and feel more connected. Once I arrived, I asked myself again, what does it mean to be Zoroastrian?
So that was a video by Tanya Hoshi, who's also the Fizana's chief social media officer now. And through this video, you get a small glimpse of how we are providing young Zoroastrians born in the diaspora connection with the earth of their motherland and getting them on the journey to connect with it, and through their actions, hopefully in the years to come, to rejuvenate and heal it. With that, thank you very much for being an amazing audience, and I turn it back over to Karishma.
Thank you, Arzam. Fantastic.
Growing up.
What we will do now is reflect upon the thoughts that we have heard. If you would please stop screen sharing, Yazdi. No, actually, could we have the next slide, Yazdi, while we reflect upon all the thoughts of our speakers? At this time, I draw your attention to the chat box. Please populate the chat box with your questions. And in the context of questions, let us think of Ahura Mazda's guidance through Asho Zarathustra. Bispata parisat, ashat hacha, kam vidat. Questioning all matters for the sake of righteousness and to cause progress to the community. In the 28.1, which we will hear when Yazdi plays it for us, as we think about all that the speakers have said, let's start populating the chat box.
Ayasa nemanga ostano zastora fedrayao manius mazdao porvim spentayao ashao vispen short now Vangeus Kratum Manango Ya Snevisha Geuscha Urvane Ayaya Sa Nemanga Ostano zasto rafedrea Manius Mazdal porvim, spentayao ashavispe, shortnach, vangeush, kratum manango, ya. Snebisha geusha urvane.
Thank you, Yezdi. As we come to the chat box and look for questions to understand more from our speakers today, let us reflect upon what Dasturji Sahib said. Talking about the Saushans, talking about choosing to be the change in small steps. Asking how many lives we have touched. Our speakers today have touched lives around the world. Our second speaker talked about fellow workers who stand together. Good thinking by action and bringing teaching into realization. And the Saushans within us to better planet Earth. Our third speaker, Afri, talked about Yasnaha 12, to think globally, but act locally and form a learning community like the Ava project has formed. Shireen talked about Ushta, healing, mental healing, earth healing, healing alone, healing with others. And Arzan talked about so many concepts related to sustainability, energy performance, biophilia, and there are lots of questions on that. Stress reduction, transformation, and integrating with nature. You also talked about numbers. So let's start the questions. Talking about numbers, actually, we just had the census 2021 census. And it was amazing. The word Zoroastrian was actually on our census document this year. So thank you to everybody who made that possible, ZTFE, WZO, everybody. Let's start the questions now and comments. After that, we'll take the sharing section where anybody is free to share your thoughts, experiences with Agyaris, with your Dasturji, show respect for your Dasturjis and leaders around the world. Your experiences of life, of spirituality, anything you like. Please note that Afreed Mystery has shared links. Please take them down. Please build the Hamazori. Arzan, there is a question for you from Khushru Bagli. It'll be very helpful if for Yazdi to be able to find people if you raise your hand so that Yazdi can then unmute you or ask you to rather unmute yourself. Khushru Bagli, if you'd like to ask your question. It's about biophilia, Feng Shui, and Vastu Shastra. Arzan, could you please differentiate between them?
So I think Feng Shui and Vastu Shastra, and I'm giving this as an opinion. I'm not an expert on that. My understanding is that Feng Shui and Vastu Shastra are systems that provide very specific solutions that one can, do for themselves for certain things to happen, right? I mean, all of those solutions come from natural wisdom. So it's not scientific. It's kind of from a time when science didn't exist as we understand science today, but it was from years and years of wisdom that explained, how you would do that. I think biophilia is in some ways taking all of that same collective wisdom and is much more focused to how natural habitats can be incorporated into specific urban settings. So biophilia was a term that came up by a brilliant American naturalist, and it's something very very new. They're like Feng Shui and Vastu Shastra, there are definitive rules, things like, okay, where should the door be facing and all of that. In biophilia, it's not so much, specific solutions. At least that's the way I understand it. biophilia is just more about a series of guidelines and parameters that you can lay that brings nature into very urban, dense environments.
Yes, thanks, Arzan. I think all three concepts basically relate to harmony with nature.
Yes.
And to some extent, architecture is on a larger scale with more commercial buildings and stuff. Vastu Shastra, Feng Shui is more like your home and how you redesign the architecture of your own house to harmonize with nature, light, wind, etc. So thank you for your answer. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Khushru Bagli.
Thank you.
Please, thank you. Would you please unmute Homi Gandhi? Homi, if you could just raise your hand, it'll help Yazdi find you. Homi's concerned about the trees in winter on the balcony. Homi, over to you.
Thank you, Arzan, for bringing biophilia to this community. I think we have been doing it for hundreds of years, thousands of years, as Zoroastrian traditions and customs. Can you just explain how do you maintain all these lovely plants on the balcony during the winter months of snow and a frost?
So, Homi, interesting question. The way that like urban terraces function is that it's a natural habitat. This is not, I mean, these trees and plants are chosen, as what would be growing in a forest a kilometer away or 10 kilometers away. So the same thing that happens to trees and plants in your backyard or in your lawns or in the forest next to your house is what's going to happen to these. So I will actually try to look up a picture of what that same terrace looks like in the winter. But we don't do anything. It's nature. The trees wither, leaves fall. It becomes completely desolate, and then comes spring, it all comes back to normal. And we have gardeners and landscapers who come exactly the same way that they would take care of your front or your backyard lawn, and come and nurture them. And so we treat, they're treated exactly the same way. The whole idea is that this is permanent, right? Something at this scale, a green roof is not something that, it's not a potted plant that you can take in the winter and then bring it out in the summer. So it is nature at its best. It's, you're just allowing nature to be present in places where it would normally not have access to. Like in our case, the 17th floor of a New York City skyscraper. So, it works exactly that way. And I'll try to look up a picture, and if I find it, I'll screen share it.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is a comment from Mobid Yar Omid. Until we can come back to Mobid Yar Omid, I would like to ask a question on the small steps and choosing to be the change, to Dasturji Sahib, Nasirabad Wala. Dasturji Sahib, in today's world, what guidance can you give us to follow Osho Zarathustra's guidance and advance Ushta in Ahura Mazda's kingdom?
Can you hear me now? Okay. In today's world, unfortunately, due to circumstances, the situation is such that everybody's going through extreme stress. And this leads humans to probably deviate from their what they should be doing in life. Now, the idea is to be a good person in life. That is what everybody's motto should be. Motto should be that love everybody, malice towards none. In everybody's life, there are ups and downs. There are good days and there are bad days. Most of the time, the bad days outweigh the good days. that is where our resolve needs to be strong. That is the time, those are the days where we should be really have control over our tongue, over our mind, over our actions, and make sure that we do not harm anybody by, in a fit of anger, saying something which you regret later. So that is these are the times where, as I said, your resolve has to be very strong, and you have to be very careful. And what I would say, take care not to hurt anybody's feelings. If a person, Zoroastrianism teaches us to be philanthropic, to help people, help in many ways. I mean, it doesn't have to be monetarily. You are on a roadside at a traffic signal, and you see an old person who wants to cross the road. I would stop, take hold of his or her hand, and lead her across the road, showing compassion, showing empathy. These are values which should come from within, and that is, as I said, makes a better person. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to add something to that? Okay, in that case, maybe take the comment from Mobidyar Omid in California.
Shnatra Ramazda, thank you, Karishma. Thank you so much for this great webinar. I just want to refer to your first sentence, Karishma, that you said something about wisdom. So the true happiness comes to us while we are aligned with the wisdom of divine, with the divine wisdom. That's the time that the true happiness comes to us. And when we are not aligned, that's the time that sadness comes to us, and we make wrong decisions and we mess things up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Arvad Sahib, Mahyar Kerawala. Until we get another question, we've got lots of comments and commendations for our wonderful speakers. Until another question comes into the chat box, I have a question for you. You explained the role of the inner Saushant, something not often dwelled upon. Thank you for that. Could you guide us a little further on how we can link the inner Saushant of one individual with what you talked about, the Sama, the fellow workers standing together?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Homiar has already explained that in his speech. It's like one person comes out with a good deed, others follow, and together we can work united for a good cause, helps heal the world, helps heal the people around, makes this world a better place.
Thank you, Arvad Sahib. Katayun Kapadia has given her gratitude, Sorab, Zareen Commissariat, Zina Mystery, many people. Last question. Anything else from anybody before we close? Okay. In that case, let's think about the International Day of Collective Consciousness. I've got a little message from Noshir Dadrawala because I asked for it. He says, there is a need for individual consciousness to build community consciousness, a community of collective Asha thinkers, to attune and harmonize with the universal consciousness, which is essentially the law of Asha. So on that note, if anybody else wants to share anything, shall we open the Bahuman sharing section? And while you're thinking about what to share, let us give gratitude to those people who have brought Bahumat to the world. Bahumata means with good thoughts. So thank you very much to Parsi Khabar, Zoroastrians.net, Parsi Times, Worldwide Zoroastrians, all of you, all your families. To Mr. Meher Amal Saad, the mentor and facilitator, Mobed Saib Firuzgari, Mobed Soli P. Dastur, Noshir Dadrawala, Mr. Yazdi Tantra for the support, Arvad Kobad Zarolia and Arvad Brigadier Behram Pantki for advice, Mr. Arzan Wadia for his help and support, and Mr. Vevaina, Nikki Mehta, and Nina Mistry for their contributions. We also have young fellowship ambassadors around the world, Ervad Unwala, Kotwal, and Bhandara, along with Tina Skarbhari, Benaz Nanavati, Mazarine Katrak, and Leah Contractor. We have a question from Dr. Zareen Karani Aros. Before that, let me just invite you all, we'll come to the Bahuman sharing section, invite you all to the 2nd of May session. Please join us at the same time. And we're also on Facebook, Zoroastrians.net, our own website, bah-humata.co.uk, and on Twitter. So we stop sharing and we'll take the question from Dr. Zareen Karani Aros. Dr. Karani Aros, if you put up your hand, Yesdi will unmute you.
Thank you. They didn't allow me to unmute. I think our struggle often, if you're well-meaning, is how do you decipher what the right path is, where you're in tune with the divine? Because someone just mentioned that if you're in tune with the divine, that's the right thing to do, that's beneficial. I think that's what all good Zoroastrians strive for, but I'm not sure it's clear when and how one hears that voice of the divine. How do you decipher? How do you get to that answer?
Would any one of our speakers like to address this question from Dr. Karani Aros?
May I say that? Like I've already put in my response, anything
Yes,
that benefits others selflessly. It could be small things. It could be a smile. It could be helping somebody, anything. It forms sort of a chain of good things that keep on getting repeated again and again. I could smile to somebody, that person might be having a bad day. That smile might light up that person. He may go around spreading that smile. They may go around spreading that smile. It would spread joy around. These are little things that matter in our daily life. As Homya previously had also mentioned, that our life is full of stress. These little things help lighten our stress. We go on the path of righteousness, being good, being nice with everyone, making this world a better place.
May I speak something? My mom wants to say something. Her name is Jaru.
Hello, Jaru.
Hello, everybody. May I suggest that we think of other people first before ourselves and uplift their ego, uplift their well-being, and uplift their emotional quotient. By doing that, making the other person feel great, you will get your satisfaction for making another person happy. Because when we say, Ushta, Ushtate, what does that mean? Happiness be unto you. Ushta maya mai ushta kamai chit. Happiness comes to the person who makes others happy. How will you make others happy? By making them feel good, by making them feel great, by uplifting them in the world, not downtrodden them, not depressing them, not suppressing them, but giving them a hand to come up in life, by helping them in whatever little way you can to make them feel good, and making their days great. These are all the little ways in which you can be with the divine.
I think Shireen touched upon that. Shireen, you talked about healing body, mind, and soul. Would you like to come in on anything?
Sure, definitely. I think while a lot of the focus definitely stays on selfless acts, another important part that we all do need to remember is before we can give to others or give of ourselves, we do need to have our own oxygen masks on as well. This is something I have definitely done, in community service, but also just in life. As much as we would want to contribute to somebody else's healing, we cannot heal others if we haven't healed ourselves. So how to begin on that journey of self-healing? Before, I know we heard about self-love and compassion in the beginning of the talk, and we can, right now where we are as a world, I think we just need so much of self-love and compassion, and being kinder to ourselves and then kind to others.
Thank you. We've got one wonderful comment from Rustam Bhopti to everyone. Please, may we have Rustam. Rustam, please put your hand up. Till then, Erbat Sahib Zarir Bhandara, you conduct wonderful healing. We'll take from Mr. Rustam Bhopti first. Yes, sir. Please continue. Yes, Dee, may we have the whole panel and see everybody as well? The whole panorama of people? Everyone.
How many people?
We've got loads. We've had over 115 today. We've got the speakers. Okay. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
This is genuinely pleasing to hear from the most senior participant.
The most senior
explanation of Ustate. I have no more words.
Thank you.
And we need to look after not just us humans, but all life forms around us. That brings up a collective wisdom, not just, otherwise it's all selfish. Thank you, Jarwanti.
Zarir Bhandara Sahib, if you're still there, would you like to make any comment? You conduct wonderful healing sessions every Sunday. I will speak on behalf of Zarir Sahib. He conducts the most wonderful. There you are.
Just wanted to thank everybody. It was a wonderful session as usual. And every time when I get into it, I learn so many things. Thank you.
Arzan has just met. Thank you, Mobad Sahib. Thank you for your healing sessions, which really start the week off in such beauty. Arzan has a message. He says, I have pictures to share with the audience. Yes, please, Arzan. Yazdi, may we enable Arzan to share some pictures that he would like to with the audience?
So this was to Homi's question earlier. So this is one of the green terraces in the summer, but then in the winter, this is what it becomes, right? So you see that there is massive snow. A lot of the plants kind of just whatever happens to natural habitat, on the ground level is really what happens to these places too. So this is during a particularly harsh winter storm. And then this is, how it is right through the year. And all of a sudden, literally over a weekend or something like that, all the snow will melt and all the flowers will just come, to life. Basically, the celebration and rejoicing of nature. And like it happens everywhere. It happens on an urban garden, 17 floors above above the New York City skyline. So.
This brings us to our last time's message of Khordad Sal, where we say nature rejoices when Asho Zarathustra was born. And when Firdosh Mehta said, why don't we rejoice on a daily basis? Because we are rejoicing his guidance to us. So let nature and human beings and our collective consciousness rejoice on a moment-to-moment event. It's a message from Zal Kashina thanking Arzan. If Sorab is here still, then we'll finish with a little note from Sorab. Otherwise, what Sorab's highlighting is everyone working together with nature to bring the glory of the Zartushti Dana. And as in his own words, he says, to uplift our ancient religion. So on that note, shall we close and request Dasturji Homyar Nasirabad Wala Haji?
Can I make a small comment, please?
Haji, please.
There was a wonderful reference by Afreed Mistry when she spoke about Awa, the water. Now, water is something which is that's a wonderful way of looking up and respecting water. And I would say that we hold water, which is an important element of nature, in great reverence in our religion. We pray to the water body and we consider her as Ava Mai. And she's also fondly known as Ava Aradhisur Banu. So we always bless Mother. We pray that Ava Aradhisur Banu bless Mother Earth with bountiful of water. And we should take great care not to contaminate or waste it, as we believe in keeping water and pure. So I would just like to add something on what she said. What she said and spoke about Ava was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Dasturji Sahib. Let me just check if there are any other comments or anyone wants to say anything, and then we'll request Dasturji Sahib to close. Zari Sahib? Yes, please, Zari Sahib, go ahead. Zari Bandara Sahib, say something. Haji, please.
Yeah. This is for everybody. A few days ago, less than a week, I received an email from Karishma. It was a great idea, and I would like to share with everybody. That is to, and since we have Arzan and Afreed, who are very instrumental in doing a lot of things around the world, the idea was to, how about naming January 1st as Good Thoughts, Good Words, Good Deeds Day?
We will work on it with the collective fellowship around the world. We will request everybody on this call and all of you around the world to please request people to come in. And Arzan, Afreed, we request you to contribute your might so that we can work, petition the United Nations, petition the European Union, petition everybody around the world to mark the 1st of January as the Global Consciousness Day of the good mind, of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Astad Klabwala would like to make a comment. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. It was very nice to hear, as Rustam Gopi said, from our senior most attendee, and very well said that we ought to say things that would be helpful to people and uplift their lives. The contrary is also true, that we should avoid saying things that would be hurtful to others. And in these times that we're going through with a lot of stress, we tend to do that unintentionally. In normal day-to-day lives or whatever, we may be upset about something, but then we inadvertently sometimes, not meaningful, say something that perhaps we should not say to somebody we know and associate or we love. And one thing that has helped me to avoid that is the thought that always be mindful of waiting a second or two before you say something. And when you try that, you catch yourself. And tied to that is the thought that try to avoid saying anything unless it's really helpful. And Not easy to do, but if you have that at the back of the mind, just that second or two that you wait makes a tremendous difference in the words that finally come out. Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you,
I just got in.
Yes, please.
Asad said a very good thing, that if you can't say good for anything, don't say it. I've been trying to follow it for a long time, stopped being none, and I think it's a good thing. That if you say anything, say positive and meaningful things rather than things that hurt other people. Thank you.
Thank you for echoing that sentiment, Arvat Sahib. That sentiment has also been echoed by Kurush Dadachanji. Are you still here, sir? He says, thank you, Jaru Aunty, for your inspiring words. So I think this is going to have a knock-on effect through society, as we say, for the good of all. Parviz Bamgara says, thank you all for your efforts, amazing work and presentations. Ushtate and God bless. And Arzan says, fantastic point. So Arzan, do you want to say it yourself? And then please hand over directly to Dasturji Saib for a closing statement.
I think that the comment in the chat is okay.
Okay. So Dasturji Saib, may I request you to close today's session after I give gratitude to Yazdi Tantra for hosting it very beautifully. Thank you, Yazdi. We're also live on Facebook. We've recorded this session so we can share it with you. People have asked for email. So Shireen, please, if you would like to share your email, there is a specific question asking for your email address. If you prefer not, then I'll put mine and I'll send it indirectly to you. It's entirely your choice.
If you want to say something.
If you want to say something, please unmute yourself.
I've already shared it, so it's all good.
You've already shared it, lovely. Rali Aunty, thank you for your thought. She thanks you, Jaru Aunty. So thank you all for being with us. Thank you, Yazdi, for all your technical support. Thank you, Mr. Meher Amal Saji, for writing all the biographies, your endless commitment to hours of service that go behind the scenes. And thank you all for being here today. Dasturji Saib, over to you to close, please.
This was a wonderful session, which I'm sure everybody enjoyed. And I'm glad, as you said, we had more than 100 participants. And the input from everybody, including the speakers and the audience, was excellent. There were wonderful suggestions. Now, I would like to end with a small little prayer. The prayer goes like this. Inge hatam atayasne paiti vango Masdao ahuro vaithat ashadhacha Yao gamcha tascha tauscha yazamaide. The meaning behind the Angyahatam prayer. We respect all such men and women who Ahura Mazda recognizes as having practiced the divine law of righteousness and virtues by absolute devotion. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvat Saib Nasirabad Bala. Thank you all for being here. We'll wait for another few minutes if anybody wants to say anything, and then Yazdi will close automatically. You can keep putting your comments into the chat box. Maya Kerawala Saib says, let's start today, let's start now, let's put it into practice. Echoing something Arzan said.
That's what Percy had said. He said that if you smile at someone, it makes that person's day good. So I said, let's put it to practice. Let's start today. Let's start now.
So let's all have a wonderful smile on our face. Right?
Percy Rana at 58@gmail.com. Let's start now, yes. Dr. Zareen Karani Aroz. Give your precious mama a hug. Done. A big hug to all of you today. We'll close in another couple of minutes. If anyone wants to say anything, just feel free. It's your platform. Bahumata is your world. Like I say, it's the pearls that
It's our world.
It's our world. It's the pearls that we are trying to string together around the world, facilitated by all our whole team, led by Meher Amalsad ji. So it's all over to you. I'm silencing. Thank you. Ushtate.